Welcome to our superpower hitting system. We produced this video specifically for you to use the power of your mind to immediately elevate all aspects of your hitting.
Okay, so you guys know who I am, right? I'm a professional baseball player, former professional baseball player, drafted in the 3rd round by the Toronto Blue Jays. Spent 8 years playing nothing but pro, 6 months off, and then 6 months on, right? Every day, grinding, trying to find new ways, right? And I came in hot. First 2 years were great, right? I came in, I got my first hit, first game, and finished a good short season year, right? Went home. I did what the guys told me. I did what the coordinators told me. Came back, start of the year, absolutely on fire. Right? I was hitting about 345 in low A ball, 8 bombs, got the All-Star nod, took part in the home run derby. It was an amazing experience, right? But a couple weeks before that was when I started to slide a bit, right? I was hitting 348, 350, right? And started getting to me. I started, pressing a little bit, looking at my stats after the game, relying a little bit too much on the routine I had, right? So about 2 weeks before, the All-Star game, my average dropped about 20 points, right? And I just had high expectations, and that second half I ended up hitting about 220, and my average dropped down to 276. Hit another 8 bombs. Power numbers were up, but something changed. Right? Something big changed. I had a great season, my breakout season. Expected, it turned into just an ordinary season. I ended up the season hitting like 276, 16 bombs, 86 RBIs. Great season, right? But from what it could have been, it's not even close. The next 5-6 years were spent, trying to find exactly what I had. Those first 2 years of pro ball. And where I looked, the first place I looked was my swing mechanics. Something was off. That's the way I always thought. Something was off. I need to perfect it. Take swings, take hundreds and hundreds of swings. My gym game, it was on. I was working out every day, twice a day. Could have done a little bit more mobility probably, but I put the work in. I put the work in every day. I was hitting thousands of swings, right? That next year I had was a terrible year. I ended up hitting 210, 13 home runs, and a whole bunch of Ks. And it was just, that hurt, man. That hurt. Put in a lot of work. We're talking about a pro season where everything is on the line, it feels like, right? In the moment, it feels on the line. And it's the same way with any season, right? Every season you're playing is the most important season of your life. That's the way it is for you guys, from the way it is, or it's the way it always will be, because you're only as good as your last at bat, really. So I spent like 5 or 6 years, boys, just meticulously breaking down my swing, taking, just focused so hard on small aspects of the swing, learning as I went, but none of it really turned into in-game results. Maybe I would work on something in the cage, right, and then that game I would do very well. In the next 3 games I'd be good. I'd be clear-minded. Everything would be all right, and I'd be putting up numbers. But then somewhere along the way, if something goes wrong, I start relying on what I did in that cage the 3 days prior, and then you start overdoing it, and soon you're uncomfortable again. And that's the way it was for me for 5-6 years. I was going maybe 20 at bats hot, then I'd go 10 cold, 15 at bats hot, 10 cold. And it was hard for me to pick up and find something that actually worked.
The issue for Marcus was that he was operating from a belief system. The accepted belief today at all levels is that when I'm not hitting well, it's only because of my mechanics. And if I can just find the right mechanics, everything will be fixed. The idea currently coming from the hitting instruction industry is that we need to try to turn human people into these biomechanical hitting machines, where every part is moving with exact precision, just as the pros do on their best hits. Consequently, we believe if all our body parts move through the right positions at the right time, it will result in us making better contact more consistently. For 7 years, Marcus held on to this belief and worked tirelessly hoping that fixing his mechanics would permanently get him going again. This is why serious baseball people are baffled, because they've been led to believe that the main issue, which affects a college and pro player's ability to be consistent, is solved by finding better mechanics.
Right, and honestly, in my pro career and independent ball, 2 years independent ball, I was still fishing for that, that feeling where you just go up to the plate and you just really, you just have the confidence, pretty much, you know what to do, and you just step up there, you already have everything set, and you're just seeing it and hitting the ball. And man, it took, honestly, it took me to get released and really put in thousands and thousands of swings and realize that, hey, that's not the way to go. Because it does not translate into the game unless you have some foundational processes in place, right? Some foundational principles, which I never even was aware of, right? Until I met Doug right here, Doug McKean. Call him the hitting magician, right? He's been called like Gandalf. Mm-hmm. It's his birthday today.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Doug.
Thanks.
Anyway, when I met Doug, I was actually right here. Our first time hitting was right here. And I came in extremely skeptical, highly, highly skeptical. I didn't believe, I trusted so many hitters, or so many hitting coaches, so many gurus. I trusted them with my career, but I gave them the keys to my career, thinking that they would make me better. But that never came. I was struggling. And then within 45 minutes of working with Doug, my swing was right back to where it was 5-6 years ago when it felt the best. Within 45 minutes.
What did you experience after our first session together, Marcus, or during it?
I experienced a feeling of freedom and looseness and bat speed at contact that I haven't experienced in years. It was just one session, and I have proof of that through another friend who tried the same cues, same mental cues, and he achieved the same feeling, and he looked extremely quick and loose, and he explained after our session of 30 minutes that was the best hitting session that we've had in 6 years.
And your friend also played professionally?
My friend also played professionally,
mm-hmm.
For 5 years.
Okay. When we look at hitting from the point of view of mechanics, it makes finding solutions hopelessly complex. Hitting is already considered one of the hardest things in sports. The last thing we need is to make it needlessly more difficult. Instead, if you look at hitting from a mindset view, it's a very simple game to solve. The mind, not mechanics, drives performance. The mind drives everything. The Superpower Hitting Program has helped dozens and dozens of hitters dramatically improve their results and consistency without changing anything except their mindset. We humans are not just machines. We are computer-controlled machines. The software program in the computer directs the machine. So therefore, the software is the key. That's what we mean when we say the mind drives everything.
Working with Doug, my swing was right back to where it was 5-6 years ago when it felt the best, within 45 minutes, which made me, it was an epiphany for me. It was an amazing discovery because it meant that my swing was ingrained, and it's been ingrained this entire time. You know, it's been ingrained, it's been there, but I haven't been able to access it. You know, there's too much interference, too much, before my at-bats, like, the work would be good. I'd put in the work, I'd put in the hard work, I'd be sweating, the swings would feel good, but when the game came, everything changed. I was right back to, you know, lunging, head would be moving, I'd be nervous, I'd get to 2 strikes, you know, I'd swing at something in the dirt, or I'd be 1-0, taking a fastball, you know, just the game-changing things, they just weren't there. And so Doug introduced, you know, something that, the exact thing that I needed when I was playing. And that's why I'm so passionate about this right now. It's because you guys have something right now that you could use in your games. Something simple, very advanced, possibly the most advanced strategy I've ever seen. But when used correctly and when explained and understood correctly, it turns into something that can absolutely bring powerhouse stats, powerhouse performance to your game without changing a thing. So, hey, Doug, I want to introduce Doug McKean right here. All right, so right here, this talk is going to be focused around why hitters struggle, okay? And what goes on through their head, what goes on in the mind, and what situations bring up, you know, certain activities that happen in the mind. So, Doug, please.
So I'm going to explain to you today what happened to Marcus. And I told you, remember, when we first met for that coffee, that you are not unique. And you couldn't accept that. You thought you were the only one struggling with this particular situation. And we all feel that when we're struggling, right? All the other guys are hitting well. Because we just remember their showcase swings and we compare them to our worst. So I only showed Marcus what was going on in his mind so that he began to understand what was happening. So now his frustration was reduced. Because I look at it this way. Frustration starts where knowledge ends. So we understand how to swing, we understand this, we understand that, but then we start struggling, right? We've come to the end of our knowledge of understanding what's happening when we're hitting. And frustration happens at that time. And of course we all know what frustration does to us, right? So let's take a look at what was happening, and Marcus, please stay here with me, okay?
Yep. Oops.
So
Make sure you're talking loud to these guys.
pitcher's going to throw the ball. Okay. Hitter's here. The pitcher throws him a really good pitch. Right down Broadway. And as we watch this happen, the pitcher comes set, and then when he breaks from set, and the ball comes in. Now, if we're watching this from a distance, at some point in time, the hitter, I call this go time, begins his swing. Alrighty? So the pitch is coming in, and if we watch the hitter at this time, as the pitch is maybe in this area, we actually don't see much movement. There may be beginning of a counter movement, a loading or whatever, but there's certainly not that movement towards the ball. So I call this go time. So if we look at this as a time span, okay, on what side of this line are the hitter's mechanics? what's happening in here for the hitter? Because we don't see much motion. We can't even film what's happening with the hitter right now. But what is happening inside the hitter?
Watching the ball.
Yeah, vision. And thinking or not thinking, something mental, right? Are we clear with this formula? Okay. Which side is more important?
Left side.
Left side?
Yeah.
Okay, give it a percentage, James.
In the game?
Yeah. That's the only yardstick is the game. Who cares about the cage?
It's all about on the left side. That's 100%.
Give me a percent. 100%?
Yeah.
But you have to have fairly decent mechanics.
Yeah, keep in mind this is for advanced to elite hitters.
Right? Sam, what would you say?
80-20, yeah.
Okay. You know, we can put whatever we want. Importance, right? At the higher levels, where do players spend their time with their coaches?
On the right side.
Interesting. Right?
Yeah.
But it makes perfect sense why, like
Because that's what you see with your eyes.
it's what you see.
This.
It's what you know. It's what you feel.
Sure.
Right? So it makes perfect sense. It's nobody's fault.
No, of course not.
It's what they understand. So yeah, that's pretty much why they work on mechanics.
And this travel time from, well, certainly from release to the plate is less than half a second. And you know those formulas that show the breakdown, you have 1/10 of or 1/100th of a second to this and 10/100ths of a second to do that and all the rest of it, right? So the hitter here has less, certainly from set, probably not much more than a second to have a whole bunch of stuff happen for him to get, and what's the determining factor of a hitter? They can barrel more balls and on time, and they don't give away at bats. Right?
Yeah.
Now, that process has to be built here, because how else will we know where to get our bat and when to get it there? Do you see that? This whole process is built in this area here. And so we need to shift our attention from this area to this area. And I'm going to make a projection here. Whether a career happens and goes on or is reduced is in this area right here. How well the player can deal with this area. Would you agree with that? Haven't probably thought about it before. Marcus?
Yeah, I would say.
How well you deal with this area right here, this half a second, is a career determining or a career limiting?
Yeah. Knowing what I know now and being able to trust my mechanics and really take my flashlight of focus off of mechanics and onto this part of the game. It's more fun and it works better. So it works for me.
Sure. Most high-level players, also coaches, believe in mechanics because it's what they see and feel. It's the mechanics trap. When a hitter struggles, instead of seeing mechanics or timing as the issue, instead think about mindset, and then ask, how has his mind altered his performance? Just to illustrate how powerful a changed mindset can be, Marcus's semi-pro stats for 2018, batting average .230, home runs 5, RBIs 19. He was just beginning to learn the system. Oftentimes, he was still in the old paradigm of believing it was about his mechanics and going about adjusting them. If we compare Marcus's semi-pro stats in 2019, where his paradigm has now shifted, his belief system has shifted, his focus is on the system and working the system and no more thought to mechanics, there's a dramatic improvement. Batting average .326, home runs 11, RBIs 35. What's exciting is that Marcus's potential for growth is now ongoing without changing his mechanics or having to hit thousands of balls. So with less effort, he's getting more. Let's look at the change in Marcus's stats between 2018 and 2019. It's dramatic. Increased his batting average by 94 points, increased his home runs by 6, increased his RBIs by 16, increased his total value to the offense of his team dramatically. Marcus is living proof that the human body is this unbelievable machine. We are not defective. I know you've heard that you have all these body parts that aren't moving right, but we sometimes only need a slight shift in mindset to totally change our path. Meet professional ball player Julian Johnson. Julian played pro ball in Japan this past summer. This spring, Marcus and I trained Julian in our super power hitting system. For most of the season, he led the entire league in batting average and increased his power numbers. Julian believed in the system 100%, with no doubt whatsoever, and had the most fun playing ball since he was a little kid. Julian eliminated any of the big or prolonged slumps that many professionals experience.
When all you do is work on your mechanics, if you perfect your mechanics and you still find that you're still struggling at the plate, what do? In my experience, I was in Japan for 3 months. It was more of the mental aspect of the game and mentally being able to hit in the situations where before I struggled. And I ended up batting 390, so that just proves to me and those of you guys that are actually struggling just working on your mechanics, that it's more than just mechanics. It has to be, because I've never hit 390 in my life in a season, especially professionally. And this system, using just mental aspects of the game, it definitely shows, it definitely adds another level to the game. It brings your game to another level for sure.
When Julian got home in September, he was so pumped. His first words were, "Okay, coach, what new stuff have you got for me now?"